You held me back when I tried to move on from your life. So you stole my life with clarity. So hold me back, now you're here. Cause I'm mad, show no fear. Wanna let you know just how it felt. Oh no, 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 no. Don't you think we're good? There's no way we could be. No, oh no, 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 no. I know the way you look at me, I know it too well. Now I'm bulletproof. You might find you're gone, but I'm flying high. I'm bulletproof. Don't let me touch the ground. You can never bring me down. You can never bring me down. Can never bring me down. Cause I'm bulletproof. Yeah, I'm bulletproof. We've been up, we've been down, trying to figure things out. End up losing myself in this but I'm done being done. Gotta end it all now. I won't ever turn it round again. Oh no, 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 no. Don't you think we're good? There's no way we could be. No, oh no, 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 no. I know the way you look at me, I know you too well. Now I'm bulletproof. You might find you're gone, but I'm flying high. I'm bulletproof. Don't let me touch the ground. You can never bring me down. You can never bring me down. Can never bring me down. Cause I'm bulletproof. Cause I'm bulletproof. Cause I'm bulletproof. Yeah, I'm bulletproof. Now I'm bulletproof. You might find you're gone, but I'm flying high. I'm bulletproof. Don't let me touch the ground. You can never bring me down. You can never bring me down. Can never bring me down. Cause I'm bulletproof. Yeah, I'm bulletproof. Cause I'm bulletproof.
Love is like a roller coaster, but I'm trying to hold on. I don't want it to stop. Even though we fight sometimes and it feels like a war zone, I still care about us. How do you move on when everything goes wrong? I'm trying to find a way to get you out my head. Don't know how to cope with being so broken. Girl, I can't forget about what we said. I just wanna love you a little bit more. Don't just walk away from me and close the door. Baby, pull me closer now before it's over. I just wanna love you a little bit more. Oh, I know that it's difficult dealing with emotions, but I want you to know that you'll always be on my mind. Even in the hard times, I care about you. How do you move on when everything goes wrong? I'm trying to find a way to get you out my head. Don't know how to cope with being so broken. Girl, I can't forget about what we said. I just wanna love you a little bit more. Don't just walk away from me and close the door. Baby, pull me closer now before it's over. I just wanna love you a little bit more. Oh, love you a little bit more. 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 How do you move on when everything is wrong? I'm trying to find a way to get you out my head. Don't know how to cope with being so broken. Girl, I can't forget about what you said. I just wanna love you a little bit more. Don't just walk away from me and close the door. Baby, pull me closer now before it's over. I just wanna love you a little bit more. Oh, love you a little bit more. Just a little bit. Love you a little bit more. Love you a little bit more. Just a little bit. Love you a little bit more.
You wanna ride on my wave just because it's fun. You wanna be in my space, too close to the sun. Don't seem to care if it's safe. Well, that makes two of us. I'm so insane, and you like it. But you haven't seen anything yet. Now you're just beginning your trip to regrets. You might think you know me, but soon you forget. I'm too insane, and you know it. You got to learn to like me again and again, 'cause I will make you love me again and again. Just when you think you love me, you'll think again, 'cause I will make you hate me again and again. I'll say I'm fine when I'm not, just to mess you up. I won't be home when you want, and I won't pick up. You'll spend your time with your watch, counting down the clock. You'll go insane, and I like it. But you haven't seen all of me yet. Now I'm just beginning your work in progress. You might think you know me, but soon you forget. I'm too insane, and you know it. You got to learn to like me again and again, 'cause I will make you love me again and again. Just when you think you love me, you'll think again, 'cause I will make you hate me again and again. Again and again. sun, don't seem to care if it's safe. Well, that makes two of us. I'm so insane, and you like it. You got to learn to like me again and again, 'cause I will make you love me again and again. Just when you think you love me, you'll think again, 'cause I will make you hate me again and again. Got to learn to like me again and again, 'cause I will make you love me again and again. Just when you think you love me, you'll think again, 'cause I will make you hate me again and again. 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 But there is nothing I can do now. When I'm with you, I lose myself. I feel good.